Good morning. Hi, I'm Birdman Mel, and I'm one of the owners of our family business in Columbia, Missouri called Songbird Station, and I am tickled you joined us this morning. We are going to have some fun. What are we going to do? We're going to talk about this guy. Now, who is that? That's an eastern bluebird. And you know what? It's been a hard week on all of us. If we've got employees out there, God bless you for what you're doing for us. And got a few that aren't here that used to be, and God bless you for what you did. And hopefully we're going to do some things that'll get our crew all back together. But we're going to go to the positives, and I'll tell you what, one of them happened when I went out my door. First thing this morning, I said, oh, gosh, thank you, God, for letting me have a beautiful morning, sunny morning like this. And then right after that, I back up. I do like I always do and stop for a moment. And there was the bluebirds. We have several bluebird houses on our property, so I'm speaking from experience, but nothing beats that sound in the morning. I'm going to have a few notes, and who would have thought that we'd be cutting paper and using the back half, but this world has changed. We're going to have some quizzes. We're going to have some drawings. We got a lot of free materials, and most of all, we need and want your questions. Just reach out, let me know, we'll give it a try. I may mess up some. I may ask some friends I know that have joined us if they know the answer to this. I use the phrase every day, nature is God's stress reliever. Take time today to listen to the birds sing. Well, we're going to help you listen to more bluebirds. We're also going to have a quick children's section. We're going to have it later on, a date just for that, but we're going to have some fun things for you. I know we have some great seminars coming up. We've actually added one next week. It's going to be nest box nesters, other ones than this, including big cavity ones, and we'll talk about that later. We're going to put one right after that on Orioles the next Saturday, and every Saturday at 10 a.m. we're going to be doing this. After that, I believe we're going to do a different one. We'll get the schedule up. I apologize. Thought I had it memorized, but you can see not so much hair up there, and what I got's getting gray. We are going to post right away something I love, because a lot of you have children in your homes, and it's called 101 Ways to Praise a Child. Just as you do teaching and that sort of thing in your classroom at home, it'll be some neat things to remember. Other thing I want to show you is this birdie bell. We're going to talk about when you feed, it's a neat thing to ring to get the bluebirds used to, hey, you're going to do that. I had a friend here in Mexico, Missouri, that used to run a golf cart around with bells on it, Paul Day, who's unfortunately passed, but he taught me that, hey, that bell would work, and it does work. Now, don't use it and the other thing it could work is call your children to their classroom, but I wouldn't do both in the yard, because bluebirds might want a seat that you're not prepared for, and the kids might be confused too, that they thought class was over, and there you are starting it again. So we'll have some fun. We are going to have a menu of prices coming. We'll post how you buy from Songbird Station in both Columbia and Mexico, Missouri, and if you're out of the area. So get ready for that. Well, the big thing is, can you attract bluebirds? That's the first question everybody asks. Although I owe a lady, I almost goofed, and I apologize. Claire, you sent this in last night. God bless you. It says, I have bluebirds, but there's a bird who chirps a lot and always has babies that's getting eaten by a black snake. How can I prevent this? Her nest is a hot mess of leaves and moss. Well, I got good news and bad news. I'm happy for you that you got bluebirds. That thing in that nest is called an English sparrow. It's non-native, and I'm going to be posting a list of the 10 commandments of how to get bluebirds. And I hate to say it, you got to get that nest out of there, and you got to peaceful, as nice as you can, take that creature out of the environment. Because if you have English sparrows in your environment, don't put up bluebird houses. If you're not going to control them, they will go in, they'll literally peck a bluebird to death, build a nest on top of it, throw the babies out. It's amazing what they'll do. So I hate to say that, but God didn't put them there. We messed up. They came here, and if we want to help bluebirds, you got to control those. The other thing going on, that black snake. If you look over over here, right here behind me, that's my favorite bluebird setup. It's a 1-inch steel rod that I get from Aaron Steel. It's a 6-inch piece of PVC that I get from Ryback's. You want to remember to put a cap on it. And then it's one of our ultimate bluebird houses on top of it, and we use some clamps. We'll tell you how to do it. You know what we're going to do? We're going to give one of those rascals away, and we'll give you the details at the end of this seminar. We're also going to give away one of these beautiful recycled plastic bluebird houses. And there are some studies from NABS that this blue roof maybe attracts more birds. Not saying it's 100% so far, but I was very impressed with the studies I saw. So keep those in mind. But that's why did I bring this up back behind me? This guard keeps predators away. And I'll have to tell you, and I don't want to offend anyone, but if you're going to put a bluebird house on a tree, that's the only way, don't do it. You will hurt them more than you help them. Bluebirds do naturally nest in trees, but it's up high in cavities that are harder to get to from the natural predators. And what are those? Well, the black snake, like the lady said, but raccoons destroy a lot of, just a tremendous amount of nests from well-meaning people. Life story, I think it was Jim Canazel at the University of Missouri Country Club several years ago. We put up a trail around the thing. Everything was going great. But what happens is raccoons can smell you as you go if you have a couple houses or even one from one house to the other. One morning, he came in, raccoons, and went from house to house to house. You know, we had several great years, but then, wow, we did a lot of damage in one year. So that's why I say if you're going to put up a house, I got to tell you, you really need to baffle that house. You need to use a metal pole, and we're going to tell you where to place it here in a little bit. But and we're also going to be sending out free directions on how to make one out of stovepipe yourself. And we're going to start having some of those at the store that we're going to have a local business up here in Mexico, Missouri make for us. So we'll go from there. How can you attract them? What it boils down to, will you control the sparrows? Will you protect the houses? If you won't do that, you know, we're going to have some neat things you'll enjoy today, but I'm not sure that you want to have a house on your property. But a lot of people work with Audubon's, different folks to sponsor a house, and I'm going to try to bring that program back, but we're going to make sure we have people that monitor them all the time. That's a mistake that I've done in the past. I've set up some programs, people, volunteers have quit, and I didn't stay on top of it. As I go to some of these gray years, I'm going to make sure that we're going to help the bluebirds, not hurt them. But it's about open space, 100 yards apart. So you got to have, if you want more than one bluebird house, but it's very, very important that you're 25 feet from shrubs or other trees and stuff. Well, why is that? Well, birds that normally stay there will use the same bluebird house. This hole is big enough that other guys go in. The one we already talked about, sparrows. And if you'll give me, I got some assistance here today. There's a couple ways to control sparrows. And we'll talk about both of those. My favorite is a little trap you put inside the house. Right here, it's a little door trap. And you rig it like that right inside the house. When a sparrow comes in, you see it. Do not use this trap if you're not going to be watching, because a bluebird could go in there too. I use them in the early spring when nests are there, and I use them on bluebird houses that I have around the different properties that I take care of. I use them on ones that I know have a sparrow in them. I'll, simply take the nest out, put this in, she'll come right back in, boom, I can control her. So remember that. There's also a big trap that we use on the martin houses called an ST1. It works great. You can flip up the lids. They get in one chamber, they go in the middle, and the same rules apply to purple martins. And we had that seminar last week, and it's going to be posted. We weren't prepared to do these Facebook Lives with everything going on. We decided we should do it, and we will be posting clips from the Purple Martin seminar. Okie doke. Do we have a question yet that I need to ask? Okay. Julie Lundstedt said, bluebirds singing at our house this morning. Isn't that great, Julie? And Julie, if any of you are in Jeff City, is one of the best bluebird people I know in this part of the world. And make sure that you get to know her if you're down there. Okay, besides sparrow control, what I was talking about before is who else goes in this house? And other than English sparrows, there aren't any other ones that you can legally kill. And you really shouldn't. House wrens will often go in here. Well, how will you know if it's a house wren house? It's all full of sticks. And it is legal if a house wren has not started laying eggs to take that nest out. Well, why is that? Well, the males, they want to have, I guess, every girl in the neighborhood. I don't know. They go around and fill every cavity they can find with sticks and say, hey, how about this house? How about that house? We're going to talk more about that next week in the cavity thing. But the bottom line is, have this too close to the woods or shrubs, and that's where you're going to get wrens. And that's, I love a wren, but not in my bluebird house. Okay? Another thing that'll go in there is tree swallows. Tree swallows, I love that. I actually am going to be putting houses now. If you put them 25 feet apart, put another bluebird house next to it, and take care of it just like you do a bluebird with a baffle. A house, the tree swallows and the bluebirds will actually live side by side. And actually, sometimes it can be helpful because that male swallow will actually help defend both houses, believe it or not. So just a tip there, you'll know their nest because they're going to have feathers in them, okay? And then you're going to have chickadee houses and titmice and nuthatches from time to time without going there. And we'll post the different things there. And I'm also going to tell you a couple books and other sources that will give you further information. Going to try to keep this to a certain length, and I'm going to just give you an overview of some topics, give you some things to do, and feel free to ask questions. Okay. Which way do you face them is a question that I'm often asked. Well, the way that I like in this part of the world is to the east-southeast. If I can do that, and there's a little bitty scrub of a tree coming up, I kind of turn it that way too. And why would I do that? Well, two reasons. That east-southeast is, boy, most of our driving wet rains and our cold, wet winds are coming from the west or coming from the northwest or the north. So that's why I do that direction. Why do I want that perch there? Well, it's because the female and the male, they feed insects. That's like 75% of the diet for the bluebirds is insects. And they love a perch where they can scour around and look for insects. They'll eat some of the bigger ones, the grasshoppers and different things themselves, and they'll actually save some of the smaller ones for their babies, the ones that are just easier to digest. So one thing I forgot to mention on the nest, I am going to post right away a guide. It comes from PMCA. You can go to pmca.org. It's called the Purple Martin Conservation Association. In this guide, I borrowed a couple of pages out of one of the recent publications. It shows the look of different nests and talks about some of the different nests that once in a while build in a Purple Martin house, but quite frankly more often will build in a bluebird house. You're also going to see a Birder's 10 Commandments. This was from Andrew Troyer. His family have become good friends of ours. They're Amish folks that are out east, and they know their birds, and I really respect his 10 Commandments. And a lot of what I'm saying will be on that. Okay? So as far as houses, my favorite house is the ultimate bluebird house. And I want to just go through what makes a good house. 4x4 floor, drain each and every corner. Very, very important. Ventilation up on the top, both sides. Now in the wintertime, you would put a strip of masking tape, or better yet, weather guard type tape around those to keep them, seal it off, because bluebirds do stay here in the winter, and many times a lot of them will go in one house, and you want to have it comfortable in there. At the end of the fall, I always clean out the nest and what have you, go back in and put dry grass in there to help make them feel more welcome. So that way, you got to have an 1.5 inch hole, and you'll see this metal predator guard on this one. We also sell these where if you're building houses yourself, you can put them on there. That's very important because heaven forbid if a raccoon would get to your house, that starts giving you a metal protection. But most of all, it's about woodpeckers and squirrels, and probably the woodpeckers more than anything. We'll try to it because as we're going to talk next week, they're a cavity dweller too. Many of them, this box isn't big enough, but they're still crazy enough to see what's inside. The other thing I like about this house is we have notches inside of it to help the babies climb up. I'm not sure you'll see those in there. Nope, that's not going to work. And we got a nest lift, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. I like it because when you monitor your nest, which you need to do, and we sell these by themselves, sometimes you got to take it out, sometimes you got to take the babies off of it, and you have to make a nest yourself with dry grass. And we're going to send you, again, some information on different things. Not going to go into that much detail in this seminar, but this nest has been a handy way for me to do that. And what we're checking for is blowflies and mites. The other thing that I check for is I always use a bar of soap on the roof, because if you do that, it really helps keep the wasps from coming in. The last thing that can really hurt bluebirds are ants, and you can put a little bit of STP was one of my best authors that I believe in had said STP oil treatment up on the top, or just something sticky there to keep the ants from coming up that pole and going on in. It's very important the baffles are off the ground. Otherwise, you lose the ability to keep the snake, that black snake out that the lady called about. So make sure you mount and this is a link for a certain reason. You want the nest boxes right about your height, so it's easy for you to open the door, see how the babies are doing. It's okay to do that. Don't want to do it, though, past probably day 15, day 16 at the most, because you might cause one of those to prematurely fledge, okay? So I actually back it up more like the 13th. So keep that in mind. But the other times you can check on the babies. The other thing that's going on here is there's a glass partition. And we've got another house. You want to bring up the other view through house? I love these houses that open on the side. You got your children, your grandchildren at home. It's okay to look in on them, okay? So this has that built-in side where you can open it from both sides. This is a house that's not quite so elaborate. We built this, and all the wooden products, everything here are built in Central Missouri. So you're supporting the economy. This one has a view side, but it just gives us just maybe a little bit more of a starter house. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I'll take the next house, the birdhouse kit, is while you're in the house right now. Now this is not my favorite house. I wish we could make one that was good enough that you could put it together as a price, and I'm working on that. But it is a good starter house for a Bluebird. As fast as you could, I would recommend then replacing it. But there, the joy of seeing somebody build a house, and we'll give you plans where if you're good carpenters, you can do it yourself. There's nothing like it. But this house, a lot of times, I'll start it with a Bluebird in a kid's project. And then I actually tell people to move these closer to the woods and what have you, because it's a great chickadee, great nuthatch house. It's a tough line there to have a kit you can afford, but yet being good. And the whole theme of this program is doing what's right for the Bluebirds so you can enjoy them and you're not going to ever feel bad. I forgot when I was talking about the female perching. We've actually do purchase, and then when you mount one of these, I think these darn things are like $4.95 or something, maybe $3.95, I can't remember. But it's just a wooden perch. You'll put these out about 25 foot in front of your Bluebird house. I've made them one other time with white, like the electric rod. If we got any farmers here, they use for the electric fence. But when you put them out front, it's been proven that it helps attract bluebirds because they say, hey, I like that house old Birdman Mel's got. Hey, look at that. He gave me a perch to look at and stand on so I can look around and see where the bugs are, and that'll make Mama happy because I can find them quicker and get them in there and get them babies fed, okay? So that's a good thing. You want to do a perch out front, however you do it. I guess you could just stick an old stick in the ground or whatever you want, but sometimes my better half doesn't like me just throwing sticks around and whatever. We got a big old dead tree out where you drive into our house, and we're going to leave that thing till it falls down, or one of the neighbors gives me too much trouble, because guess what's up in there? Bluebirds and other cavity nesters. I want to get that last house over there, both of them. Kaylee, thank you. I got Miss Kaylee here helping me today. If I have to put a house up close, when we do golf courses and stuff, closer to the clubhouse, I'll use this slot Bluebird house. There's quite a bit of data that sparrows don't tend to go through the slot. When you talk about God's creatures, nothing's ever 100%, but this is probably our most sparrow-proof house. And then I do what, again, not everything perfect, but we got all price points, just more of a simpler house. Only opens from one side, but it's about, hey, all of you have different budgets, and we try to have what you need. I have two other items I want to show you. I don't want you mounting Bluebird houses on fence posts that are part of a fence. If you buy one of these and do that, I'm going to come get you. But this little guy here helps you have an inexpensive post. You can go drive a fence post in, and we can actually loan you a fence post driver. This little doohickey here sets on top of it, and then you put your Bluebird house on. But again, I don't want to loan you my post driver if you're not going to put a predator guard on it, okay? We got to have a deal there, okay? The other thing we got, if you got your own Bluebird house and you wish you had one of them nest lists, well, guess what? Like I told you, we got them. We got these little portal protectors too, so that part of the class is over, I guess, so far. If you got any questions on Bluebird houses, whatever, let me know. Somebody asked, are the plans for the Missouri Conservation Guide a good guide to follow? Yeah, those folks know what they're doing. I certainly recommend them as a source of information. My favorite plans and my favorite recommendations for bluebirds are, guess what? At the North American Bluebird Association, And that's at North American Bluebird Association.com or .org it is nowadays. So look up NABS. They've got plans. They've got all kinds of incredible information. I learn an awful lot on my monthly magazine that I get from them. They're a really, really good source. The other good one, a really great one, is at pmca.org, and they have a bunch of great children activities, and we're going to talk a lot more about them in a few weeks on that one. I think it's the second week in April, maybe, about children's activities, and we're going to go in a lot of detail, a lot of free handouts, and just a lot of sharing on that. Okay? People ask me, well, how can I help attract bluebirds? If they ain't got a place to live, they ain't coming, okay? They might come by for a little bit of food, and we're going to talk about food next, and they might come by for water, and that's very important for all birds. Water attracts 10 times more birds than anything you can feed. So don't forget that. We're going to talk about a couple possible bird baths for you. But, feeding bluebirds, wow, without a doubt, live mealworms. I mean, I don't know that I want them on my pizza, but they are the cat's meat. Well, shouldn't say that. Cats and birds don't go good together. Keep your cat inside. And, we have lost a huge percentage of our birds, 25%. And them cats are in the top 3. So please, folks, keep your cat inside. Okay? I need a purple martin rats. I just gave the answer away on my first one, so we'll forget about that. Give me that second door prize. We're going to have a quiz here, okay? And we're going to have a seminar coming up one of these days, and it's going to be on a bird, and you probably got the bird figured out, that'll use this feeder, but this feeder has spikes and it has a dish. So the first one that emails in what goes on this feeder wins them both. And my wife will pass me a note, and we'll tell you if you won, okay? So we're going to try to have some fun. But forgot where I was. If somebody knows, text me or do whatever we're doing here on this Facebook thing. This first time I ever done Facebook Live, folks. I think yesterday was the first time I ever been on Facebook. But I'm having fun. I hope you're learning and having fun. Okay, Mike says, some with open yards think they should only put up a single house, or a second or even a third house could be useful. I agree with that thought. It depends how big the yard is. You remember we talked about tree swallows, bluebirds, 25 feet apart. In most yards, if it's nice and open, that you could have them both. So, Mike, I would agree with you that second house could be helpful. Very good comment. Okay, feeding feeders, live mealworms, best thing to do. Bring me over a couple of them bluebird feeders I can show them. You can start out simple. I tell a lot of folks, hey, just put a pan out. One of them, my favorite is when I help friends, is just the metal pie pans, because it reflects and the birds see it, and put some there. Put some of the things in one of the books I gave you, and I've tried it once, it works, is if you happen to have dogwoods or other things, putting some branches and stuff with real berries on them that looks kind of like nature more than just a pie pan out in the yard or a pie pan out in the pasture will help. And I got another question here I'll get in just a second. And then start there. But before I go to how the trickster's feeding bluebirds, it says, can you attract bluebirds even if you have a small yard? It amounts to, does that small yard open it in your small yard? And many of us have small yards. The first house we lived here in Mexico, it was small, but then it opened up to this big old field behind us. And then, heck, nobody had planted no trees, or they were pretty small. So I was getting bluebird. There was lots of open space for that bluebird. So just because your yard is small doesn't matter. It's about that big old area. How much area do you have around you? Now, if your area is then, a lot of woods right around you tight, a little rougher. Not going to guarantee you. That's where if you send me a drawing and then we set up a time to talk or email back and forth, we'll do our best to help you out whether it'll work. So great question. Thank you for sending that in. So live mealworms, hand me a couple of them mealworm feeders. I need to show folks some stuff. But besides that, it isn't just about what you buy from us. In all our programs, you're going to hear me say, go native, stay organic. Okay, those are two of the best things you can do, because guess what? If you do those two things, the trees and bushes that God put here, they got more natural bugs that the bluebirds eat, okay? And if you go organic, you don't kill off bugs that the birds would have ate anyhow, okay? I had a lot of help from Jeff Zimmersfeld. Jeff, I always kill your name, when I built my home several years ago, and we've gone organic. I don't spread no fertilizer. I spread corn gluten. We use I only use a little bit of 7 on one bush that the bugs eat every time. Other than that, nothing. And you know why? I think it's all them birds I got. So give it a try. I think you'll love it. One of our favorite feeders is this Bluebird canteen, and give me that steak feeder over there. I like this steak feeder a lot. We build these here in Mexico because one of the things about it is you can put it out there. I definitely do not put your feeder right by the house because it's a good way to draw them predators right to the house. So please don't do that. I put them at least 25 feet away. And then the stake, this jobber here has got a stake, little roof, works good in the wintertime. I like it because I can start here and then I can move the stake closer and closer to the house. Now don't get them too close because then you're going to hurt that and any birds with bird strikes. But then you just move it in that way. Start with live mealworms. If you want to give me a pack of them dried mealworms, I want to show them. We got these in 3 or 4 different sizes, from this one up to a great big bucket. But dried mealworms, certainly if you do the taste test, this pizza is not as good as the live mealworm pizza. But, one trick to this is add some olive oil. But what a lot of us do is we use these as stretchers. You start them with live mealworms, then you start putting in a few of them olive oil. They like Italian olive oil coated mealworms. And you can stretch it. I certainly do this with my purple martins. If any of you martin landlords are out there, you do not have to shoot crickets in the air through a blowgun. I ain't gonna do that. I'd swallow that sucker. You put live mealworms on a bluebird house deck, they'll eat them, and then you can stretch them with these. So those are a couple of my favorites. I'm not gonna hold them up, but we got them in tubs, and we got them in great big old tubs for those of you that have a lot of birds. Got some questions. Jim Lunsford said, don't let the houses be in sight of each other's bluebirds defend. Thank you for reminding me, Jim. 100 yards apart is what I do, and when I can, I try to have them out of sight. Sometimes in big open fields, they can see that rascal down there, but think football field. They need to be a football field apart. I'm so glad you said that. It is in the 10 Commandments that we'll be handing out, but like I said, this old gray head, I forget stuff, so I really appreciate that comment coming in. He had acorn. I got one here. Somebody had acorns in a bluebird feeder. Blue Jay annex. Could be. They're crazy. A lot of birds put nuts and things different places. It might have been just, a woodpecker that may have Alzheimer or something. I don't know. But it could be a squirrel. I don't know. A lot of different things could put that in there. But, a lot of other critters like that. Way is one thing I forgot to say about mealworms. Get me one of them ones that's got the cover there. That canteen. Bring that blue thing back that I forgot to talk about. There you go. Okay. When you put this out, everybody, they're going to come here, and guess what? Mel's serving steak at his house. And the word will get around, and before you know it, even them bad guys, the starlings will come. And you can shoot them rascals because they're not native. And if you're going to have martins, you don't want starlings around. But then bring me one with the cage on it back there, that green one. So what you got to do is go to a feeder that has where they can go inside and just eat from there. Okay? So we had a winner, Amy Haskell, and several others commented. One that won the one there. Okay, we live in a very wooded area, lots of hardwoods. Is there a certain tree species that bluebird or cavity nesters prefer? Well, if you're going to have one tree, oak trees are the ones to plant in Missouri, and so I certainly recommend that. And there are a lot of people would not like those cedars, but I built my house in the middle of them, and I think it's one of the reasons I got so many birds, because the cedar is a great thing. Sumac's a great bush. We'll be getting you a list out there of others. If you got poison ivy somewhere, if you can kind of let it there, that has been proven to be a great bluebird feed too. Okay? So some fun things there. Other ways you can help is water. Bring me that songbird spa thing. Biggest thing you want to do is not have it too deep. A lot of baths, I'm sorry folks, they're not for the birds. They're kind of a pretty thing, but the hell, they're so deep. You'd have to have a life vest on your birds. I never can get them to hold still for that. This one here I like. It's got a takeout liner, so it's easy to clean, and that's very important. We got brushes to clean them out, what have you. But then the other thing about it is it's got 3 ways. I can put it in the ground. I can put her on the deck. Either with a clamp or a screw. So it's pretty cool. I like these things. Moving water attracts 10 times more birds. So if you want to put one of those water wigglers we got there at the store in it, that works good. Is it true bluebirds eat sunflower hearts in the winter? You betcha. Bring me that bag of hearts here. A lot of folks say they won't do it, but they absolutely do. I'll post some photos, but not only bluebirds, I got robins. They get to be a pain. They chase one old big old robin will sit on it. I feed a lot of birds on my deck in a tray feeder because they're easy to see, and the bluebirds come to that tray feeder right away, but they'll come to just about any feeder with kernels. Now, budgets are tight, so some of you may not want to, black hole sunflowers is just as good for all the birds that have a beak that can crack it. But if you want to help the bluebirds, you need to go with the sunflower kernels, okay? That's a good thing to feed. Okay, well, we're going to have some fun. I hope this isn't going longer than you want. We talked about waters, we talked about natives, we talked about Go Native. I did tell you some sources of information. Your local Audubons are great information sources. We have a great one here in Columbia, Missouri, and there's a super one down there in Jeff City also. So get with those folks. They have bird walks where you and your children can learn, and I bet you we can do those things with social spacing. And they also have just a lot of great programs. So I do recommend you check out your Audubons. We will be posting some great information. One of the things, I can't legally put it up, or I would. One of my good friends in the business, the Stokes, put out a DVD. This will show you where I'm aged, and I think we're going to have this rascal for like $4.99 or something to just get them out there for you. Incredible, great DVD to play at home, and it'll be a great way to teach the children about birds. The books that I want to mention that I really like is probably the simplest is the author here, her husband is a good bird book that's been out there, the Birdwatcher's Digest. Julie is the wife of one of them. She put out a very good book. It's called Enjoying Bluebirds More. A lot of good data in there about, how do I know how old a bluebird is? How do I know what is that? You talked about blowflies and all that. All those different things we've talked about for just a very low price. These things are available, okay? The other one is a good friend that comes here to Mexico, Missouri every year to the Wild Bird Expo for all our retailers, Stan Tequila. Stan put out a very nice book that really works for children, okay? Any other questions we got right now coming in, okay? I need to draw another door prize. Pull that back thing right there, yep. Okay. Next week we're going to talk about cavity dwellers, including some great big ones. First person that tells us who nests in this house is going to get to win it, okay? Okie dokie. If you have any other questions, please let us know. I know I went awful fast. I talk a little bit fast. They say almost at the speed of a hurricane, but we're wanting to have fun. I did want to get to the ideals for children because that's very, very important. Some of my best moments in my life have been having my little grandsons, Eli and Ollie and Everett on my lap, and I love this book, C is for Cardinals. What they got is on every page is another book, and guess what? B is for Bluebirds, okay? So how about that? And speaking of listening to the bird, bring me that bird we got back there. We're going to have another giveaway. Got another quiz here for you. And let me hold that house up again in case you didn't get a good look. Okay, pretty big house. Okay, so think about it. Okay, got a little quiz here. What bird is this? And I'm not going to let you look at it too much. I'll make it easy. You're going to know it's got some of those colors. There you go. You got to look quick. Okay, real quick. Hope you can hear that on the phone. I don't know how all this stuff works. Okay, first person lets me know what that is. You got this free at Songbird Station. Not sure we got this exact one at the store right now. If we don't, all these things we have, we would ask you, and we'll be posting the instructions. We are sequestered here at Mexico in our warehouse. We don't let people in. If you give us a call, we'll work it out. And then you honk or you call when you get here. We'll bring it out to you. Columbia, we have people there. We ask that no more than 10 at a time be in the store. And I know there's going to be like 100 after this seminar, but you're going to have to go in 10 at a time. And then keep your spacing. That's important. And I'm not joking when I do that stuff. I've been really serious here about it at work because we do value you as a customer and we do value our employees. So keep that in mind. If you're sick, we can do that curbside thing, and we're doing quite a bit of it. And if you're really sick, we'd prefer maybe you send somebody else in. But if you call ahead, we'll have the stuff ready for you. We want to use a credit card. Not that we don't trust you and don't like cash. That's just the most sanitary way to do it. less germs going back and forth. If you could call in, give us your credit card number, we'll run that rascal, go to the curb, we're going to have it for you, okay? The other thing is we do have all kinds of fun gifts with Bluebirds on them. I'll get to those in a little bit, but I want to go through a couple of the other kids stuff. Can you bring me the first two things, Haley? I want to talk about kids. It boils down to we got a lot of fun kits to put together, a lot of fun books and guides and that sort of thing. This is one of my favorite kits, and we'll leave that right there. This rascal here, you know, all the parts are in there. It's got a bird. If you don't know that one, folks, I mean, even where they don't have a baseball team named this thing, the Cardinal, #1 bird in America. So when in doubt, go for him. Sunflowers, loves them. Safflower, we got a great Cardinal mix too. Stickers in there to put on this birdhouse. Really easy to do. This one's in recycled plastic, so that's a fun one. Another thing I see a lot of people that might want to do, ooh, goodness. Now, I'm not a super big fan of these, other than we got all these kids at home. There was a craze a couple of years ago, so gazillions of these things, put them up on the window, trying to get a bird to nest here. Really works better if it's got a sheet of see-through plastic on it. Okay, we got somebody said barred owl. So sorry, that's not it. Somebody said owl house, but not specific enough. What kind of owl house? You're getting warm, folks. Okay, was not barred owl. We do have that one here. Who cooks for you? But on the old woodpecker, we got Kim, Kalaprot. You have won the woodpecker. Wow, I know you just got to be jumping up and down in your living room. Yeah. Oh, man. And that is, by the way, a pileated woodpecker. And we're going to talk about him next week, okay? And then this house here, you put it, but I like putting a piece of the stuff where they can't see you, but you can see them on the window inside. You'll get more. One of the challenges is, you know, this is not a bluebird house. I don't want them going in there. I don't think they ever would. I ain't heard of it. But you most likely get a house finch or a sparrow. If you get a sparrow, you know, I'm okay with you letting them go through the life cycle to see the kids do that. But I would suggest some morning that you, you know, maybe when the kids get up, say, "Oh, isn't that great? The bluebirds, the birdies, they all flew away." And I hope you know where to fly them away to. Okay. I knew, Jim, you were very kind to hang back there because you knew that the minute I held that house up. Jim Lundstead, you won yourself a screech owl house. Okie dokie. One of our friends in Jeff City. Okay. Bring me other stuff I got here. Just different things you can do with kids. I really want you to support your local businesses, wherever they are. Go out and buy gift cards, particularly from the restaurants that you might use later, or call them up, have them send you one. And all the locally owned business, folks, it's hard. We're going to lose some, and I hate that. But if you want to do some fun things, this little thing here is called an Easy Arranger. And I say this because a lot of us are going, leaving things for people, older folks that can't get out. And if you know somebody like that, it might be nice to make a little flower arrangement. And it would be a great time to teach children. We're going to have daffodils. We're going to have tulips. God's got this. The spring is coming. I could feel it this morning. So this makes it really easy. You know, we got a Kevin guy on our staff who's a great flower arranger, but I ain't as good as Kevin. But I want to show him how I can do it really good with this Easy Arranger. It's what it is it goes on top of a vase. Got little metal separations in there. So you put the different stems in, and you can make arrangements. I don't know as good as Kevin, but you can make some awful good ones. Other things we got is all kinds of kits and fun kits. This one here makes a solar, and all these aren't at Songbird Station right now, folks. I got to tell you that because Mel put this thing together way too late. We're going to be prepared next week. Next week, whatever we talk about, it'll be in there so you can go get it. But you let us know what you want. Call into the store or email us, and we'll have it. We run a truck over there every Tuesday, and if we got to, we'll run that rascal right back another day. So, this thing here is a solar robot. You make a little kit. The sun makes this robot go around. I think that'd be really cool. This thing here is a magic bug viewer. As the bugs come out, it helps magnify them. We got a little bird call where you go, ee, 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 ee. You can practice doing bird calls. Try to do a bluebird. This one isn't birding, but I thought that was pretty cool when I was out in the warehouse last night. That shows you how, kind of had to go fast here this week because it's been a tough week on businesses. And I got to tell you, we and other businesses, we need and sincerely appreciate it. But you can even make an old-fashioned rubber band paddle boat. How about that, rascal? You can grow a crystal. I think that's pretty cool. A lot of stuff we have all kinds of books, neat little kids books on looking up in the sky, seeing all that stuff that God put up there. And this thing here is a globe that believe it or not, in there, this is all in there. It seems, I don't know where that big round thing is, but my guess is you blow her up or fold her up. So this is a really neat kit. And then we got a kit, kitchen sign-ins, just some fun experiments in the kitchen, that sort of thing. Okay. The other thing we got is all kinds of fun stuff. I told you we had the constellate. This is a book of constellations that's in the sky, just some fun dot-to-dots. We got sticker books, North American birds. We forgot to talk about field guides. One of my favorites is a Sibley guide. We also got in this box, I'm reaching down the box down here. I probably ought to, can we get a chair right here so I don't have to look down all the time? But Sibleys, we got other ones, Eastern, if somebody happens to be out west, we got Western field guides. This is one of my fun ones. Oh, I forgot to pull it out. Here it is. Okay, this thing here has pictures of the birds, but then when you turn to the page and you punch in a number, it makes a sound. So you can look at the bird and see the sound. I use this rascal with our grandsons. And I tell you what, once in a while, I go in there and press a button, making sure I'm seeing what I'm seeing. There are cat in the hat books, all about birds, really, really fun. There are backyard bird flashcards that help have little facts like the blue jay, what do I eat, what do I sound like, where do I nest, just some cool things that way. Got match a pair of birds, helps them that way, lots of fun. So all kinds of good stuff. We got bird logs, you can go in, it's a log, it's a date and time, what were the weathers, where was the bird, how big was the bird, starts teaching adult. I tell you what, I use this thing because it's how you learn birds. And I know I'm going a little long here, so I do want to remind you that we're going to be posting the spell shows and all that. But just tell you what, folks, we got so much stuff at the store, you can't believe it. Come in. If you're having a tough day, got DVDs with the sounds of the outdoors, creeks and all. The other thing I'd encourage you to consider, whether you buy ours or somebody else, or just write one. A lot of people right now need a note. They're hooped up, particularly the older people. They're cooped up in that house. We got a lot of them with nature notes on them. Let's be there for each other as we go through this thing. Let's enjoy nature. We got a lot of those kind of notes, so I'm not going to keep going through there. You won't believe how many we got, but we will be posting some of those. We also got tons of puzzles. This has been a very, very big seller for us. Not just this one, just every kind of puzzle as you all are locked up with the children. Well, we have a lot of them that are teaching puzzles, like this one is birds of your backyard, and they show them all the way around, so don't forget your puzzles. As I said, we got a lot of fun gifts, coffee cups, mugs, Bluebird pot holders, Bluebird trivets, all kinds of things. Fountains, and nothing beats a little restful thing. Pot holders, the flags behind me, we do those. So if you need any of that sort of stuff, let me know. We're going to have them at the store and going to have some incredible buys, like a pot holder set all together for $5, okay? So we're going to have really, really good specials that we'll be posting on all our guests. Any other questions? Okay. Jim Lundstead, well, thank you for reaching back out, and that was the guy who got the Screech House. He said put seed hoops under the sunflower feeder. Totally agree with him. I don't have it in here, but we have these seed hooks that you can hook onto a feeder. The stuff that falls down doesn't get in your yard, keeps my better half happier when I use that thing. And it also ends up being a secondary place for other birds. So that's what we've got there. So we will be sending you out origami. We'll be posting how you can fold a bird yourself. We're going to be sending out Linda Wolf here in Mexico, made bird ornaments. We'll be sharing that. The last thing is contest time. Stay tuned to our Facebook page to see how you can win this complete ultimate Bluebird system behind me. We'll be posting the rules there, but one of you will win that. And that's going to be for somebody in Colombia, or Mexico. I can't ship that rascal. And details will be on the website. And then this great recycled plastic Bluebird house will be for somebody away from Colombia. So in that, I just want to say thanks for being here. Thanks for those of you that listen this long. Oh my goodness. You will get a 10% off webinar special for all this stuff. So when you come in the store or whatever, remind us of that on anything we show. And as we wrap it up, don't forget, nature is God's stress reliever. Take time today to listen to the birds sing. One good thing you guys did was taught me how to do Facebook Live, so now I'm going to be able to tune in. My pastor's going to be happy because, like many churches, we don't have church tomorrow, but I hope you have a good weekend, and maybe you'll use Facebook another way. And keep those questions coming. And from Songbird Station, your locally owned family business, Birdman Mel just wants to say thank you.